Hi, thank you for joining me for Baking Up Good Designs. I'm Melissa Harper, and I will be going over today's topics, which is tags, favorites, and templates. So let's get right into it. Who is Melissa Harper? Who am I? Well, here I am as the red drape goes by. I'm a senior designer at MOI, and here are a few of my coworkers. I am a mother of boys. So lucky me. Here's my youngest, Garrett, and my oldest, Joshua, who's currently deployed on the USS Nimitz right here. And here's his wife, Sierra, and our granddaughter, Layla. She's so cute. And then here's our other son, Sean, and three grandchildren. And here's my husband, Mark, of 13 years. We do love to travel, even if traveling means going to Epcot and traveling to the countries that Epcot has. And then we also have three puppies. We have Summer, Autumn, and Connor. And here's Connor again. He's such a cutie. Okay, tags. I like to think of tags like a recipe card. So a recipe card has a list of ingredients that it takes to make up that item that you wish to bake. Now, tags in CET includes everything that goes into making those symbols. It has all the options that go into that. So kind of think of that as the recipe card. Tags. All tags are not the same. Each manufacturer is different. Some are better, some are not, and we know who you are. So we as designers will love our tags to have the model number, not the actual part number that it takes to make that chair or that panel. So we have to go in and we have to change it. And we also would prefer the category to be on the correct category and not to be set on the CET layer. So today I'm going to be going over three types of tags that are commonly found in CET. So the first one is commercial interior catalogs. The next one that we'll be going over is catalog browser and then smart symbols. So I'm kind of going to join catalog browser and smart symbols together and kind of talk about the differences there. Let's just jump into CET here. Now, I also wanted to ask by show of hands, how many of you have struggled, getting the tag to work or getting the category? I think we've all struggled with that to get things to work so that show up in our pay-per-views. So I'm going to go over that today. So hopefully by the end of this, you'll be a pro for where you work and you can help others that you work with. So we are going to jump right into commercial interiors library right here. And on this, you'll see that this is the main tab right here. And I always work in very low because they technically are CAD symbols and they're meant to be fillers for CET extensions. So when CET first came out, they didn't have like the large extensions now that they have. So it was meant to fill the gap that some of the other extensions did not have. So that's what we're gonna focus on that. But know that even though it's working very low to kind of save space in your CET drawing, it will render high, so it will render fine. But I also did want to point out that it has convert to catalog browser, which we are going to do that today. I do recommend that when you're in a drawing and you're putting something in here, do one item and see if it actually has a catalog browser symbol, because if so, you should be using that catalog browser symbol over the CIL catalogs. Then next tab right here is catalog browser. This is where we're going to bring the actual symbol in. So I'm just doing the test here for all of these, just kind of going through here. And we're just going to bring in a sit on it Novo chair. So when you click on this, it should bring up a screen. It should ask you to option everything out. So let me just click on this again. Okay, so here we go. It's going to ask you all these options. I'm just quickly kind of going to go through here. just so I can get the symbol in here. And you have to hit accept in order for it to come in here once you're optioning it through. I just wanted to compare it to, so this is a Herman Miller Aeron chair, which is an actual smart symbol. And this over here is our CIL catalog. I'm just gonna bring over the green property box. So the one thing I did want to point out is you can see you have all of this options. But remember, we optioned it out. So all those options were previous. So if you need to re-option it out for any reason at all, you have to go to query and you have to go re-option part. So that's how you would re-option and change anything, because keep in mind, it is not a smart symbol. And you'll also notice when you click on your item, you'll get this green property box right here, and it has layers. So it is a layer. But the first thing I always recommend when you're bringing a task chair in is to make it into a block, because you'll quickly see that task chairs change frequently. So we're just going to right click and create a block and give that block a name. Okay. So now this actually has a name. So I'm going to step inside of this block because it just is a lot easier to make changes to task chairs or other items when you have them in a block and then going from there to make all these changes. And you could see right here's the actual part number. It doesn't actually have the task chair name, which we know over here it's Novo. Nope, doesn't have that. And when you go to calculations, you cannot change it in calculations. You'll see that this IND tag is the same color as the part number, so you can't change it in here. So how do you change it? Go to the green property box and click on these three little dots for the layers and wait for it to open. And you'll see right here, if I click off of this, nothing's highlighted. If I click on it, all this highlights. We're going to put it on a category because currently right now it's not on a category at all. And we want it to be on seating. So when we go to our paper view, it will show up for the seating. So we're just going to click on seating. Now, something you need to be mindful is you do need to actually link all these layers together. So, and then you'll see right down here where it says link layers, and you'll see that it has a little link right here. Now I know that these layers are linked. So now when I go to my paper view, it will show only on the seating layer. And now you're like, okay, but we still have this part number. All right, we're going to change that now. We're going to right click on this and we're going to go to install text right here. So when you right click on it, this pops up. Then you'll get this text properties box that comes up. Now, in order to change the text, you would think you would just type it in here, but you can't. You first have to select the actual text that's currently assigned to it. And then we're going to swipe it and put whatever name you want on to this task chair. And I want it to say Novo. I could say apply, and you can see it did apply. Now we're going to change the size of the text. Now, changing the size, again, you would right click, go install text. We're already in here, so we're just going to stay in here. And you're going to go to apply globally. One thing I am going to point out is don't change your install text if you have CIL symbols until right before you do your install plans. And the reason I say this is because you'll set this and it will revert. You'll do something and it'll revert back to the smaller size text. So the best thing is just to wait until right before you do your install plans. It applies globally, so you don't have to do it one time and it applies it to all your CIL symbols. Now you do have to activate it. So you click over here to activate it and you just select the height and you hit apply and you can see it does change the actual height of that. So to move the text, you'll see that there is this box right here, this yellow Where grab it, right click, click and hold, left click and hold, and you can move your text wherever you like to move. Now, I did make a point to say that we are going to go in here and we're going to see if we can convert this. So I'm just going to go back in here. And then when you click on convert in catalog browser, you'll see that it does show this share. Now it does also have where it shows a location. So if you're not sure where it is in the drawing, click on the show location and it just popped it up into this block saying, hey, here it is. So we're here and I'm going to just convert it to see if it converts. I'm going to say, okay. Now you can see immediately from the 3D that it did actually convert and that it turned green. So if it does convert, it will turn green. Sometimes it will not convert something and it will not turn green. Now, something I do want to point out that I had finishes, but it defaulted to different finishes. So just keep in mind that if you spent time in your CIL symbol, putting all the finishes in there, making sure it was just so, it's going to convert to a default. So you're going to have to go back and you are going to have to redo all those finishes. And I'm not sure if that's something that we can say, hey, we would like this as a feature request, and maybe they will actually do it. I'm not sure because it's a CIL to a catalog browser, but you know what? It doesn't hurt to even ask. So I would recommend that's a feature request because if you're spending time to put finishes in, we don't want to lose those finishes. So I'm just going to get in here to my catalog browser. So here's Catalog Browser. In order to get it open, you're just going to go to Catalog Explorer. It can take a while to open. Just be patient with it. You know, if you have a spinning wheel, don't keep clicking. Just let it, give it a minute to think to open. Now, when you have this up, and I'm already in the sit on it, and I already went down to the Novo. So as you can see, you can just, I just went all the way down to this one. Now, when you're bringing catalog browser symbol in, you don't drag it. You can see the red stop sign. You actually just click on the one that you actually want and it will come in. Okay. All right, now that we're in here, all the categories that we set, all of that, it's no longer on this actual symbol. We have to redo everything. So the first thing I like to do is to view all. So go down here. This is your normal view or your working view. And then over here, it shows your IND tags. This is what we're going to look at. First thing I'm going to do right now is I want to find out what category these are on because I already know it's a sit on it. And I know for a fact they default to the CT layer, which shows everything in the visibility in your visibility settings. So we're just going to go here and we're going to unclick the symbol and I'm going to click both of these. So you can do multiple ones at a time. So I'm going to unsnap it there. And I'm also going to put it on seating. And you'll see it says 2 of 2. So I brought a second one in to show you that you can move multiple objects off of a layer onto another layer. Okay. Or onto a new category. Right, so I'm just going to delete that one. I just wanted to have 2 in there to show you that you can you hold down control, select the other item that you want, and that's how you can put them on a different category. So now we're going to go in here, we're going to change our text. And to do that, you are going to go into your calculation. So remember on the CIL, you could not do that. On this, we can. So it's right here. But if you do not, if you go in here, and you don't see that, I'm going to show you how to do it. But first of all, I never work in my main. I always go to my article view too. So you want to be in article view when you're changing your IND tags. If you change them in your main, it's not going to stay. And a couple of tips when you're going to change these. You do not want to be changing your IND tags in calculations if you're doing updates. So if you see right here, it's doing an update, don't bother updating your ID and tags because more they may possibly change because CET is currently doing an update. I have mine set for a certain time. I do recommend that. So if you, let me show you real quick. So if you go to File, you go to Control Panel, just open this up. And if you go to Updates and Network, I do not allow automatic updates. I let CET know when I want them to happen. I find that best practices for me is when you're done working on Fridays or first thing in the morning on Mondays, that's when I recommend doing the updates. So I have mine at Fridays at 5 o'clock. Keep in mind that your updates are only going to happen if you have CET open. If you're closed, you have your laptop closed and you're out, already started your weekend, obviously your updates are not going to take place. So just make sure that the time that you have selected is going to be a time that you are going to have your CET open. So back on these IND tags. So we're not going to update when there's downloads. And once your downloads are done, you need to restart CET, restart your computer, and do a clean start on your CET. Once you do that, you should be good on changing your IND tags. And also do not do any special characters. The only character I'll do other than letters and numbers is a period, and that's it. So if you do not have your IND tag, go to your file, go to view settings, and you'll see the columns right here, and you'll see that I have my IND tags checked. So if you don't see it, then it's not checked. The good thing is they do have this alphabetical, so you'll see right down here. You just check it, and it moves it up. And then if you want to move maybe it down, up, whatever, this is how you do it. You have to have it activated in order to move it up and down. So just make sure that you have that activated and that you have your IND tag actually checked. So now that we're in here, we're just going to change this. We're going to change it to just the name of the task chair. And it's a shame that we actually have to do this. Hopefully it'll be a time where this will not happen. Now we're going to move our actual tag. So in order to move it, you'll see that there's a lock right there on it. You have to unlock it. There's no secret to it. Just click. And if you don't get the first time, click off and try again until you do get it unlocked. And here you can move any which way. You can move angles where in commercial interiors library, you could only move up, down, left, or right, but here you can actually move on an angle. So we're just going to put that right there and then make sure you lock that symbol. Make sure you lock the IND text or else it will move because you don't want overlapping text. You don't want to spend all the time moving them and then forget to lock them or didn't know you needed to lock them and then they move. So make sure you lock them. And that is how you move your text, do your categories, change your text. Now we're going to change this text size. So in order to do that, let's go to our CET tabs right here. And you're going to go to the tools or the wrench and the ruler. So I'm just going to click on that. And then we're going to go up to the top and see where it says text. So you're going to click on that and it may take a minute to open. But I feel like that took really long. All right. Then you're going to make sure that you're in the text tab and you're going to scroll and unfortunately is not alphabetical order. You're going to go to your IND tags. And then from here, you can change the size of them. I don't think I have to have that highlighted. So if I want it to be 5, and it will change all the text in the drawing to the 5 inches. So if I went here and I wanted to make it smaller, I could make it smaller or larger, whatever I wish to make. And that is how you're going to update your IND tags for all of these. If I went 4, okay, so that's how you're going to change all your text in your CET, Smart Symbols, and Catalog Browser. All right, so just keep in mind that catalog browsers are not smart symbols. They do have finishes that do match. You can see that this is a smart symbol and this is a catalog browser. So the finishes do match. The width and length on this table right here will not change. The height will not change. Whereas on the smart symbol, I can stretch it and the part number is changing while I'm making those changes. Now, you're probably like, well, okay, it applies finishes, but also Catalog Browser can also add additional model numbers. So this table, you can have wire management. It can do that because it's just another part number attached to it. It's not changing the actual table number. The table part number is still going to be the same. And so you can change the wire management, you can add trough. They're add-ons that they can add to it. Where this is a smart symbol, it also has all of that, but it also can change the height and width. So let's make sure you're aware of that. And I also wanted to go over, because I know even if you put some of these symbols on the right category, sometimes you'll get into your paper view and you're like, I can't get my visibilities to work. I did just want to point out that in order to find out what layer something's on, if you just kind of wiggle it, kind of like touch it, and then maybe you'll see what actual category it's on. Now, I do want to point out that if you do see something on this layer, this general text, typically you cannot reassign it. I have tried, and it's just good to know. Like if you're in your pay per view and you cannot get something to show up, I would recommend selecting this right here, this elevation general text, and more than likely you will get it to come on. It may turn other things on, but it'll definitely have that one thing, and maybe you can go and turn off some other things. I find that was a game changer to find out how to find out exactly what category something is actually on. Okay, so that wraps it up for tags for us. Next is favorites. They don't call them favorites for nothing. Favorites are favorites for a reason, because if you've used them, you're like, I can see why they named it a favorite. Favorites are like your box cake. It has everything in there to make it foolproof. When you make it, it turns out delicious every single time. Same thing with CET favorites. They, have the symbols in there, the finishes, the tags, everything's set up for success. It's almost error proof, and multiple designers can use it, and it's great for clients that have standards. So I'm just curious. I was going to say, by show of hands, how many of you all have used favorites? Probably most of us. And you get extra credit if you have sent a favorite that you've made that's been installed and you knew it had no errors that you shared with someone else to help someone else out. Kudos to you for that. High five. And if you have client with standards, I'm just curious, how many of you have the paper views set up as a favorite? I think that's highly missed. I think a lot of us just, go through and don't think about the papers, but they can also be a favorite as well. And don't forget, nowadays, most manufacturers have favorites on their website that you can go to and download, and it gives you a starting place. And it has finishes applied. And I know I've used them for something I'm not familiar with and was able to like look at the electric, see how it kind of worked, So don't forget about that. Today, I'm going to show you how we can collaborate with other designers to do a large project and kind of bring it together. So we're going to jump into CET right now and go to our favorites. Okay, so when you're working with multiple designers, let's say I just want up to kind of be working with, we're going to do ancillary, we're going to do workstations, we're going to do offices and meeting conference rooms. So this right here is offices and the conference rooms. So what first thing that needs to happen is one designer needs to set everyone else up for success and make sure that everyone understands their role in the job and exactly how these favorites should be made. So the CAD drawing needs to be set up. One designer sets it up, and what I always do is help lines. Help lines, they're there. They're right here, right up here. You can see a help line. I put it in the corner of the drawing. Of course, this one has a curve. It's got to be different. You put a help line in here and you do not lock it. Do not lock the help lines. So what it will be is you'll set up a drawing and you'll have folders set up for each designer. So if you have a designer do an ancillary, you'll have a main folder, and then inside that folder will be subfolders. And I think I do have it set up here as an example. So here would be an example of your subfolders. Obviously, let's just delete that one. Well, we would not have that. You'll have a folder for CET for the actual drawing. So the main drawing, the main designer would set it up and put that CET drawing in there for them. The next would be for favorites, for PDFs, quotes, renderings, and specs. Okay, so once you have that, you have it set up, we're going to show you how to make the blocks and the favorites. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to make a block of all the product. So we're just going to go ahead and do that now. So you're just going to window, and we are not going to window. You do not want to window the CAD drawing because we don't want the drawings to be larger than what they need to be. But we do want to make sure that all the product, all the dimensions are highlighted. So I'm just going to make sure I get my dimensions, which looks like Okay. And then I don't have my CAD, so then I'm going to click and create a block. And when you name it, it's important to name it correctly. So we're just going to call it offices, meeting, and put today's date or the general date. Okay. Now we're also going to do the same naming when we're doing the favorite. So when we click on this and we're going to make a favorite, save as a favorite. So you're right clicking, you're going to use save as a favorite. Now we need to save it in the correct place, but first you'll see that you normally see this, but we're going to advanced settings, and this is where it's going to change things. You're going to pick a base point in the drawing for this. So the base point is actually going to be where these two help lines meet, the intersection. All right, so, and if you know the exact coordinates, kudos to you. But you can also put them in there. If you knew a 0, you could just leave that. Now you're going to call it, this is important because you want to make sure you have the revision. You want to make sure it says offices, conference, and what revision you're on. If this is the first go around, then that's great. And then you're actually going to put the date. Now we are going to save it. Go here. On in favorites, and we are right here. And I'm going to go favorites and hit save. Now, I am going to open up my workstations. So let's say I'm working on workstations. And I said, you know what? Everyone else has their work done, and you all are like, you know what? Here, do you want to just put our favorites in there now? So you again right click and go to insert favorite. Now we have to find where our favorite actually is. And conference rooms, favorites. And we'll see. I see that there's two. I'll just do this one. Now you'll see in the green property box. And actually, I'm going to do my other one because I did grab that one. All right. And you'll see that it says use original position. You want to check that. Of course, it's still thinking. So let's give it a minute. And you can see it inserted it perfectly because I made sure I used that intersection right there. Now I'm also going to insert my ancillary. So I'm just going to do insert favorites. And go to ancillary. And you'll see it says revision 1. I'm going to say open. And I'm going to click this right here. It does take a while at times, so you just have to let it think and do its thing. Okay. And then hit escape once it puts it in there, and you'll see that now in those little steps, we were able to join everyone's work together seamlessly because we used those help lines. You can see how beneficial it was to actually save a favorite and to use an advanced setting and select a point in your drawing where you actually wanted that to come in at. And because of that, wow, that I actually made that look kind of easy. I mean, it was a lot of behind the scenes work, but when you have to do a quick turnaround and you have to divvy a job up, this is the easiest way I can find to divvy a job up. Now, let's think our paper views. Now we have this. So what you can do, if you have standards and you'll see like an 8-pack, the one thing I will recommend is when you're saving a paper view as a favorite, I would call it paper view and whatever you're viewing, because you can't insert a paper view favorite into model space and you can't do model space into the paper view. And it can get a little confusing, like if you're calling it an 8-pack typical, and you also have an 8-pack typical in favorite in your model space. So it's just helpful to save it that way. So what you can do is you can just window everything that you actually want to save. Okay. And hit escape, and you're going to right click and you're going to save as a favorite. But remember how I said you need to pick, and you do want to do advanced because we want to pick a place in the drawing. So we're going to click right here, and like I could click this corner right here. Okay, and now it's telling me exactly where it is. So here we're going to say paper view. Say 8-pack. And so it's going to save. And I may already have this saved as this. Okay, now to insert it. So we made it. Now we're going to insert it. So you click insert, you right click and hit insert. And you'll see right here, it says paper view. See, if I didn't, I'll be like, which one is it? So click paper view. And actually, I think I actually have them all under something else. Go under favorites. And you'll see right here, paper view also. And then I hit open. And then I can say use original position, and it puts it right in because I had told it which one to do. So I'll do that again. Insert favorite. Right. Go to paper view, 8-pack workstation. And then click use original position. Don't know what happened to that one. Use original position. And you can see I can be like right there. And for some reason, that one did not work. But I'll try it again on this one. Insert a favorite. Let's go to my favorites here, and let's do a different one. Let's do our guest chair. And then use original position, hit enter. There you go. You are going to have to double click and re-put in the viewports, obviously. I mean, if you're using them over and over again, so I just need to align it. There you go. And save for the 8-pack. So I just have to realign this again. And there you go. Leave that. And that's so much easier than redoing it over and over, especially for clients who are standard, or even if you're working with a group on a project, they can set up all their pay-per-views, and you can insert each one of them and make the PDF throughout. So much easier. And I hope you found this session on favorites helpful. I know I thought it was changing my life when I first was working with this with everyone else. And just know that it's important how you name them. It's very important. Now let's go back into our model space. Let's say we were working on something and we couldn't find our favorite. Like, where is this favorite? Like, I just recently used it and I can't find it. If you go to file and see the recent, you can actually go to all your recent favorites. So this has all my recent favorites that I've had. You can also search for a favorite. So you can do the click on the browse. You can decide how you're going to search for it. You can search this way also. But I find that typically it's a favorite that you've used before, that if you just go right down here, you'll probably find it. All right. And now let me get over here and get to, okay. So we just finished that, and now we're on to the templates, creating a template. I think by now, a lot of companies and designers have templates that they're using across the board for their designers, but it is nice to see what other people are doing and what theirs looks like as well. I will say, obviously, you need to start in a new drawing. However, when you start in a new drawing, you shouldn't have all your extensions on. So on the snippet, you can see you go to help extension details and you can go filter through extensions. I think it's a good idea to turn them all off, then go back into this again and turn these extensions on. Obviously, I'm Herman Miller, no designer, so I have those extensions on. However, whatever main, you know, manufacturer aligned with, you need to have that turned on. But these other ones like CET extension, edit graphics, catalog browser, CIL, revision history, and symbols, I was told that that can be connected randomly to other extensions to have that on. And obviously everyone needs the walls extension. So have that on. Everything else, it's probably a good idea to turn it off because you will get pop-ups, and to alleviate some of that, that's what you can do is by turning those off. Some things to also consider with your template is the floor. So I would recommend extending your floor 100 feet, 200 feet, and then adding a finish to it. I do recommend go open material lab and apply stone 126 to the floor. It doesn't have the high reflection that plastic does, but it does have a little bit and it renders really well. And then set up those custom categories. And I will show you that in the next slide. Set up your style, dimensions, leaders, notes, 2Ds, all of that. And don't forget, set up your calculation view settings. And I recommend setting them up if you export to spec, then or CIF or CAP, however you export them, I recommend having the calculation view to look similar to that. Don't forget to insert your CAD 0 point and lock it. Power and data symbols, put them in there. Photo Lab, set up your light settings, use your thumbnails, and bring in your paper views for all the available sizes, 36, from letter to 36 by 48. And designers can delete the title blocks that they're not using for a certain job. And don't forget to include visibility settings for your designer. So set up for panels, electric, and components. So at least it gives them a starting point. Like if you're like, we're Herman Miller null designer, so we have visibility settings for null panels and electrics and components, and then also for Herman Miller panels, electrics, and components. All right, how to make, remember I said you need to set up your custom styles. So this is what you need to go into the tools extension, and you go right here. One thing I will recommend is for your new style, we found it very helpful to use like an exclamation point or a slash or something in front of it. So when you go into your categories, it's going to be filtering to the top versus the letter of your company, or it's randomly throughout. So if you do that, it'll all go to the top and always work in all caps. And here's what I'm explaining, I was explaining earlier. So when you set up your custom categories after you do your styles, you want to do a special character so that all of your categories are going to be at the top versus trying to filter through to get to figure out which one you want off and on. It just makes it a lot easier for everyone using it. Just a kind of an example of what ours looks like. There are multiple things, and maybe you'll see something here that you like, maybe see something from someone else's. Just keep in mind that you do want to have a power legend so that everyone's on the same page when they're looking at it. A couple of toolboxes that we find very helpful, obviously, is power, panel, egress, general install, pull to critical notes, blocking ancillary. And obviously we have them on different colors so that we can turn those on. For example, for our power plan, it's blue, so we turn everything else off and you'll see all the blue, especially if you're doing core drills or that sort of thing, or noting where the power needs to be in the wall. And critical notes, panels, center line to the panel for install. You just want to make sure it's clear for everyone within your corporation that's going to touch these, understands what's going on with these. Once you've completed your template, you're ready to save it. What you want to do is you want to save it into like a CET reusable file location, and you want to have, I usually use the company's name, the template, and then the month, day, year, whatever, the month and a year, and then save it, and then ask other designers to take that, copy it into their documents folder. So it's document, CET, and templates. Ours is saved on the cloud. So however you have it saved, and that way now when you go there, it's so much easier to update and do a new drawing or new template. And just keep in mind, just because you make a template once does not mean it's one and done. Every time there's a major update within CET, you need to make sure that you're updating that template. So twice a year minimum that template needs to be updated. If not, you're going to run into a lot of crashing, designers saying they're having issues, and you definitely do not want that. So you'll see right here. So once they have it saved, you want to explain to them how to get it into their CET. So what you'll do is you'll go to File, Control Panel, you'll go to Templates, and then you'll see right here, it says Save Location, CET Documents, Templates. And then whatever you happen to name your template drawing, that's what you'll do the drop down and select that. Startup. On startup, I always have a blank drawing because I'm not starting a brand new drawing every day. So I don't need the template drawing to come up. So just a blank drawing. And then when I start a new drawing, I default to template because obviously if I'm starting a new drawing, I need it. So I just want to make sure that you discuss this, make sure everyone in your design department is working the same way and understand how it's saved and how to access it. And I wanted to thank everyone for taking the time to listen to this session. I hope you were able to have some good takeaways, something that you could share. And I really enjoyed being here and I love what I do. Feel free to email me, reach out to me if you have any questions, because I'm always willing to share knowledge. So have a great day. Thank you so much. Bye bye.